Hello again everyone, and welcome back to Learn Linux TV. In today's video, what we're going to do is take a look at CrowdSec again, because a new version is out with some brand new features, and CrowdSec is something that I've covered on this channel before, and it's a very interesting solution that can block malicious IP addresses from reaching your Linux server. And that alone isn't something that sets CrowdSec apart from others. Another solution, Fail2Ban, does exactly that, and I've covered it on this very channel. But unlike Fail2Ban, what sets CrowdSec apart from other solutions is the fact that it uses crowd intelligence to make its decisions. And the way that this intelligence factors into CrowdSec is such that if a server out there has CrowdSec installed and then it becomes the target of a malicious attempt, maybe a hacking attempt or something like that, then CrowdSec analyzes that traffic and makes a decision. And if it determines that the activity is in fact malicious, it's going to send that information to its central database, and then all the other CrowdSec installations out there will benefit from that same information, because if you mess with one CrowdSec install, well, you're messing with all of them. Now, of course, that was overly simplified. I mean, I've covered this topic on this channel a few times in the past, so if you want to learn even more about CrowdSec, then check out those videos. But what we're going to do in today's video is talk about CrowdSec 1.5, which is the latest version, and with it comes some very interesting features. Now, I want to be clear before we get started that this is a tutorial video and it is not a review or endorsement. I've talked about CrowdSec in previous videos on the channel, so if you want to find out what my opinion is of this service, there's several videos that you could watch to find out exactly that. I have a video that shows you how to install it in depth. I even have a video that goes over the console feature that's optional but is a good value add to the service. So there's no shortage of opinions when it comes to CrowdSec on this channel, so check out any of those other videos if you want to find out what I think, or if you just want to get started. If you're already a CrowdSec user, then, well, you could check out the new features as I'm going to show you in this video, and you never know, maybe some of these features will add a lot of value to you and or your organization. So what I want to do right now is dive into CrowdSec. Let's get started and check out what's coming in 1.5. And first up, what I'm going to do is give you a quick refresher on CrowdSec. Like I mentioned during the intro, CrowdSec is a security service that you can install on your Linux server that collects information on malicious activity, and it does that to build a threat intelligence database of malicious IP addresses. And every server with CrowdSec installed will benefit from that intelligence. For example, if a threat actor attempts to attack a server that has CrowdSec installed, then that IP address will be blocked right there at the server. But it doesn't stop there. From there, that IP address will be submitted to CrowdSec's Threat Intelligence Database, and all servers that has CrowdSec installed will also have information about that IP address and know exactly how to handle it if they happen to see it. CrowdSec is composed of the security engine as well as one or more remediation components. The security engine doesn't do any blocking in and of itself, but what it does do is keep track of the traffic that it sees, and it's able to recommend that an IP be blocked if it determines that the activity is potentially malicious. You could think of the security engine as a silent observer. It keeps a watchful eye on network traffic, and what it's able to do is make a decision on how to handle that traffic. Remediation components, on the other hand, take action. What they do is keep an eye on the CrowdSec security engine, and if the engine recommends an IP to be blocked, then the remediation components that you have installed will take that instruction as a command and execute it. In addition, there's also a third component of CrowdSec, the CrowdSec console. The console isn't required, but it is something that you can opt into if you want a dashboard where you can easily see the status of CrowdSec on your servers. The engine as well as the remediation components are completely open source. And in addition to that, there's no account required to use CrowdSec. That means if you want to install CrowdSec on 10,000 servers, go right ahead. You don't have to call anybody. You don't have to sign up for anything. Just install it. Now, the console does require an account on the other hand, but there's a free version for enthusiasts and community members, as well as a paid version for enterprise customers. And since it's free, well, you may as well install it. And as we're going to see later on in the video, there's good reason to do so because some of the features we're going to talk about require the console. But how do you go about getting started with CrowdSec? Well, what I'll do is leave a card on the screen right now for a previous video that goes over exactly that. If you want to get started with CrowdSec, then check out that video. You can get it installed and then come back here and we'll continue. But what I'm going to do right now is show off some of the new features in CrowdSec 1.5, so let's take a look. And to show you the new features, what I'm going to do is take us back to the CrowdSec console. And that's what you're seeing on the screen right now. In fact, I've covered the CrowdSec console in the most recent video I've done about CrowdSec up until this one. And like I mentioned earlier, the CrowdSec console is something that you can opt into, and what it does is it gives you a single pane of glass that you can use to get a look at all of your servers that have CrowdSec installed. But again, this is an optional component. You can use CrowdSec without it, but the value that the console adds is something you should probably take advantage of. The primary features are free anyway, so why not? For those of you that haven't seen the CrowdSec console before, well, here you go. This optional service gives you a complete overview of all of the nodes that you've installed CrowdSec onto. However, in 1.5, the console adds additional functionality. So it's not just about viewing metrics, there's more features that you could take advantage of in order to better manage your fleet of servers. And that's what 1.5 helps you accomplish. And the first feature that I'd like to show you guys is the fact that now you can subscribe to block lists within CrowdSec. Now the thing is, you've always had a block list within CrowdSec. I mean, that's at the heart and soul of what CrowdSec does. It has a database of IP addresses that are known to be malicious, and that essentially is a block list. And before, that was essentially all you had. You could add IP addresses yourself manually through the cscli command, as I've shown you in previous videos, but now you can subscribe to additional block lists within CrowdSec. Now we can see the option for our block list right here. It's right here in the menu. So when I click on it, what it'll do is bring me to a list of block lists that I could add to my server. As you can see, there's a number of block lists here already, and to take advantage of one, all you have to do is click on the subscribe button. And the way that this is set up is if you're using the free version of the CrowdSec console, then as part of that account, you will have access to 2 block list subscriptions for free. The enterprise account will give you additional functionality, but at the very least, you will have access to 2 block lists, so you may as well subscribe to those as it's provided as part of your account. And the way that this is set up is fairly straightforward. Right here, we have a list of block lists that you can subscribe to, and every now and then a new block list might be made available, so there's a refresh button right here, so you could click on that. And if any block list was made available that wasn't there before, then it's going to be there in the list as soon as you refresh it. But scrolling down, we can see a number of block lists that are available. Like I mentioned, as part of your free account, you can subscribe to any 2 of these block lists, with the only exception being the first 3. They're tagged with premium, as you can see, so those are for enterprise users only. But after the first 3, when you scroll down, you'll see that there's a number of block lists that are available to you even without an enterprise account, so you can subscribe to any 2 of these block lists. For more information, you can click on any one of these, and what that's going to do is take you to a screen that's going to give you more detail about that block list. For example, we have a description right here, but what's also interesting is we have a count of IP addresses, so as of the time I'm recording this video, this particular block list has 7,815 IPs as part of the list. But that's not all. You could also see the rate of change. And that's important. When you subscribe to a block list, you want to make sure that it's maintained. Otherwise, I mean, why bother, right? So here we can see how active a block list is. For example, right here, we see that this particular list has a 48% change rate when it comes to activity within the last month. It also shows us right here how much change this particular list has seen in the last couple of days. We also see the last update time. This particular list was updated 14 hours ago as of the time I'm recording this video. But anyway, what I'm going to do is subscribe one of my instances to this list. So I'll click right here to add an instance. And it's going to give me a list of all the servers that I have registered with the console. So maybe I want to prevent my RSS server from seeing one of those attacks from any of the IPs within that list. So what I'll do is click on it right here. And then we could choose what kind of block we want this particular server to have. So essentially, we can outright ban the IP addresses within that list. We could show them a CAPTCHA, so that way they can still access the server. But in order to do so, they are going to have to solve a CAPTCHA. And that's not going to necessarily prevent anyone from getting into the server, but it is going to make it take a lot longer. So that could be an option if that's something that you want to do. There's also a custom option here, but I'm not going to go over that in this video. But what I'm going to do right now is just outright ban everyone that's a part of this list. This is not something that I generally allow other people to access. This is my RSS server. So I'm just going to click ban right there, and then I'm going to click save. Now pay special attention though, on the bottom there in bold, it says that this will be effective in up to 2 hours after your next community blocklist pull. So just keep in mind that the changes may not show up immediately, but we definitely want to subscribe to some blocklists to take advantage of the features. So I'll click save. And as we can see right here, we have this particular server that's being subscribed to that blocklist. It's as simple as that. Now going back to the main page here, we can see that I have one free blocklist subscription. I have one more remaining. And if I scroll down, I could choose another blocklist. And you know what? I'm going to subscribe to this one right here. From the description down here, it's looking like this is going to help block port scanners. And there's currently over 8,000 IPs within this list. So that's something I definitely want to benefit from. So I will subscribe to that one as well. You can either click anywhere in here to view more information about the blocklist or go right to the subscribe button that's right here on the right. So I'll click on that. And then what I'll do is add the same instance, my RSS server. I also need to choose the desired result as well. So I'll select ban yet again. And as you can see, the RSS server is now subscribed to that blocklist. How cool is that? So, as you can see, you can now subscribe to blocklists within CrowdSec 1.5. But that's not the only IP-related feature we're going to look at in today's video. The next thing that I would like to show you guys is real-time decision management, and it's another feature of CrowdSec 1.5, so let's take a look. Now, what we'll see right here in this menu is a list of decisions, hence the name. Even blocking your IP address, if you mess up the password enough times, that's a decision. And what you could do here is remove a decision in the case that something was blocked that shouldn't have been. But another thing you could do here is be proactive if there's an IP address you definitely want to block for whatever reason, and you want to do that ahead of time before it becomes a problem. You could click add a decision right here. You could type in the IP address. You could choose what you want done if that particular IP address is found trying to access your servers. You could also choose the duration as well, 4 hours, 8 hours, or so on. After that time passes, then the decision is going to be deleted. And then what you could do is choose the target for where you want this rule to apply. Now, as you've just seen, there's a Decisions tab within the console, and that's where you go to take advantage of real-time decision management. But one thing that I want to point out right now is that depending on when you are watching this video, that tab might not be present within your account. And the reason for that is because it's currently considered beta and is expected to roll out soon. So if you don't see that yet, just hold on a bit. You will see that before too long because it's going to roll out very soon. So I don't have an IP address that I want to block right now. I would add my own IP address here, but I don't want to do that because then I'd lock myself out. But I think you get the idea. If there's an IP address that you want to block within CrowdSec, you could do that right here from the console instead of only being able to do it from the command line. Now let's switch gears and talk about another new feature in CrowdSec 1.5, post-exploitation behaviors. If a threat actor ends up getting into your server anyway, then post-exploitation behavior is something you might benefit from. So this is one of those things that you'll hope that you'll never have a use for, but if you do, you'll be glad it's there. After your server has been compromised, what you could do is use post-exploitation checks to see if there's any residual users or processes running that probably shouldn't be. This new feature utilizes something called AuditD, which is a service you could run on your Linux server that's not specific to CrowdSec, but it does present a great mechanism through which to view important system events. If you haven't heard of AuditD before, it provides configurable logging for more or less anything. And here's an example of what that might look like. With the example collection you are seeing, we're focusing on exe CVE, but you can monitor changes to your file system and more. The existence of this feature means that CrowdSec is not only relevant when it comes to protecting attacks on the network, it can also assist with compliance, hardening, defense in depth, as well as lateral movement. Those are just example scenarios, and this is expected to expand further over time. So AuditD definitely contains a wealth of knowledge, and that allows a solution like CrowdSec to hook into that and make decisions based on that. And that's what this new feature does. As for an example of what a post-exploitation behavior might be, imagine a background process that's downloading something. I mean, I've used wget in the past to download many things, and I've shown you how to use wget on this very channel. It's a great way to download something if you need to, but if a background process is using wget or some other command to download a binary from a remote server, that's a little suspicious, especially if you're not logged into the server at the time. And that's one of the things that post-exploitation behavior can detect. This might help you find some of the things that are still running in the background even after the threat is neutralized. There's also a brand new blocklist API. And the reason why I'm not able to show you this is because I don't have any code that I've written that can take advantage of such a feature. But I do want to make you guys aware of this just in case you do write code or use the API in any kind of way. My understanding is that with the new blocklist API, there's going to be less overhead, and that's very important considering if you subscribe to a lot of block lists, with some services that could slow you down, but the block list has been redone to make it a point to not slow you down if you go ahead and subscribe to block lists, and it's supposed to be faster overall. Now, I can't confirm or deny that this is the case, because again, I don't have a test case for this, but the fact that they're mentioning a speed increase, well, I think that's noteworthy, and I wanted to make you aware of that. Now, I want to be clear that these are not the only new features within CrowdSec 1.5. If you are already using CrowdSec, then these are some of the features that you have to look forward to. If you are not using CrowdSec, then of course, you could check out my earlier videos. You could find out if this is a solution that's right for you based on that information. There's all kinds of information on my channel about CrowdSec, and it's something that I use personally, so I like to always make these videos available to you guys whenever I upgrade to something, and that's exactly what I'm doing here because, well, I'm using CrowdSec 1.5 in production right now. But if nothing else, if you're currently a CrowdSec user, then you have a lot to look forward to in 1.5, and you just got a taste of it in this video. Anyway, thank you guys so much for checking out this video. I really appreciate it. Definitely click that like button if this video has helped you out, and I will see you in the next video.